So good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Today is the 16th of May and it's just coming up to 12 p.m. here in the UK. I thought I'd do this technical analysis update a little bit early to try and catch the New York session open, which is looking bullish. But we just check first if we've got sound. Yeah, audio is working, video is working. Looks like we're all set to go. So I start here with a cryptocurrency heat map, and you can see that the great majority of crypto is in the red, with very few exceptions. A few of the coins are up, but you know, there's one here in the double digits, but the great majority of it, ICX, for whatever reason, is at 24%. I'm not sure if there's any news on there, but the great majority of it is in the red, as you can see. The stock market heat map, it's all looking very green at the moment, which is surprising, to be honest. But I guess there's a relief bounce happening at the moment, so I'll show you that in just a second. But this is good news, really, for everyone, really, because if the stock market is up, there's obviously potential for the crypto market to go up as well. So we might have caught just in time. Just a quick note in terms of the calendar for the Forex market and for the markets in general. You can see that we've got a few meetings. We've got one here in the UK at 3:15 UK time, which is the monetary policy report hearings. And then tomorrow we also have at 1:30 p.m. the core retail sales and the retail sales. And then and then at 7 p.m. we've also got Jay Powell speaking for the Federal Reserve, and the FOMC member Mester speaks. So yeah, so there's probably going to be increased volatility tomorrow and possibly today, and we're starting to see some of that volatility already happening. Let's start with the S&P, which is here on the left hand side of these four charts. So the S&P, as you can see, this is the 3-day chart. As you can see, it's just been on a bull run since 2020. I mean, there was March 2020, there was a bit of a sort of a drop there because of the COVID dump thing, but it's just been up only since then. And in fact, if you look back a little bit more, you can see that this has been up only for quite some time, really, from way back in 2016. But more importantly, since 2020, this has just been up only. As you can see, the reason I've got this up, as you can see here, we've lost a key level, which is basically this low volume node here. Okay, and as we lost that, and we are now below it, this is now likely to be resistance. Okay, so we're just below that. You can see the two lines there. This is the low volume node here, right here. And until we break above that, there's, you know, very little chance. I mean, what I'm trying to, I'm not saying there's very little chance, but I'm saying this is resistance until proven otherwise. And Bitcoin is very closely correlated with the S&P and the Nasdaq. So, I mean, we are approaching resistance on the S&P. Very much the same scenario here on the right. As you can see, the Nasdaq, very much the same thing. We've been pumping since March 2020. March, something like that. We've lost a key level here with that low volume node, as you can see here, this low volume area, and we are now kind of like we're going up. Yes, we're definitely going up. There's a little bit of a bounce, but the real level is this one here. As you can see here, that's the low volume node that ran about 12,500. So we'll see what happens when we get there. It also has confluence with the monthly view app there. So I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen there. But if I was to bet anything, that this was going to be resistance until proven otherwise. That's my bet on it anyway. So moving on to Bitcoin. You can see here on the Bitcoin chart what I've done is something a little bit peculiar for some of you. But what I've done is I've put from the March 2020 to the all-time highs, I've drawn a Fibonacci retracement, and you can see that the Fibonacci retracement, this is the 618, the golden pocket, if you like, the 618 and the 66, and basically the dump tapped perfectly on the 6.6 and on the 6.18, and we're kind of going up from there. So this could be an obvious buy. And you know, these usually on the lower time frames, these tend to play out quite well. And if price is indeed fractal, then this could be a great opportunity to buy at these lows. Okay, but more importantly, you know, what I want you to focus on really is, if I put this on the daily chart and just remove the fib replacement, is that we are kind of entering, I'll put the rectangles on, we are entering this high volume cluster. Okay, in fact, we've kind of pumped inside it, and then we kind of like bounced back down, and we kind of confirmed this area here. As you can see, I'm going to put a little trend line there. I've put that in blue, I'll put that in green so it makes it a little bit clearer. As you can see here, this is the edge of a high volume cluster here, right? And we've kind of bounced there, even though the price is going up at the moment, but we kind of bounced there, retested it, and it's going back up. Does that mean it's bullish? Well, yes, potentially, but this red line here around about 31,000 is really the line in the sand for me, and I'd rather wait for confirmation. Okay, at the moment, as you can see, we're still below that line there. Okay, so let's have a look at this on the smaller time frames. Let me just copy this into the layout. Okay, so that's 28,935 is basically the value area low of this weekly VWAP down here. And you can see that even though we've tried to get acceptance inside of this blue rectangle, if you like, the high volume cluster, the price kind of fell out of it and got rejected. However, we're still above this line here, and we bounced on that line. So, you know, there's a potential here that this could be an amazing buy, or it could be that we get rejected again back inside of this high volume cluster, and consequently we go much further down. So where does that leave us? Well, basically we are outside, well, sorry, we're still inside. Let me just delete all these lines here a second. And that horizontal line there, you can see that that horizontal line that I've put in lines up perfectly with the value area low of the monthly VWAP right here on the bottom right hand corner. Okay, so that line lines up perfectly with this, as you can see here, right? So that for me really is kind of the line in the sand, right? If we lose that level, that's 28,800, then I think we're going to go much further down. In terms of upward momentum, okay, we've got a monthly VWAP around about 32,445, and we've also got the value area high of the weekly VWAP of the previous week VWAP at around about 31.7. Okay, if I pull up the weekly levels, you see that there's a weekly close right above us there, which has also perfect confluence with the previous week value area high. Okay, so if we look at this on the bigger chart, you can see that, you know, this is the high volume cluster here, right? But we've got this level here to act as resistance until proven otherwise. So, like I put on the market review, if we manage to get above here and contain this and reclaim it as support, then I think we've got a very good chance to go back up to this level here, okay, to 36,282. Okay, that's the bullish case scenario, right? However, if we do lose this level at 31,700, we cannot break above it, right? We do something like this, maybe even a swing failure pattern above, and then fall back below it, then that's basically bearish, and I think we're going to go much lower. And I don't think this low volume here is going to help at all. I think it's going to be a very quick trip down there. I could be wrong, but it could be a very quick trip down. Okay, so let me just draw that again. Like that. Okay, so that's the bearish case scenario. Okay, so ideally we want to break above this line here, this weekly level here, at around about 31,800. Okay, 32,000. Let's say 32,000 just to be on the safe side. If we can break above that, then 36,000 is on the cards. Okay, this has confluence with the previous year 2021 value area low, the current year developing value area low as well. Okay, and then of course if we break above this here, which is basically the another weekly level, okay, and it has confluence with these value area lows, okay, then I think the next target will be the VWAP, and the developing year VWAP is basically around about $39,000. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing right now on Bitcoin. On the smaller time frames, again, like I've been saying, this is the weekly VWAP, okay, which is also the daily VWAP today because it's Monday. But you can see we're right in the middle, right? We're kind of like, this is the previous week's VWAP, this is the developing week VWAP and daily VWAP here. It does look like we've just got rejected there, but this is at 30,228. Okay, break above this, and I think we've got a very good chance of going all the way up to that weekly level that I was talking about, 31,800. Okay, so again, we're looking at this weekly level as a key level, right? So bear with me just a second. Let me just put the sync on, and I'm looking at this level here. I'm going to put this as white, and you can see that that was marked on this chart and on this chart here as well, on all of them actually. But you can see that this is basically the level that I'm looking at. It's very close to the monthly VWAP. It's also the value area high of the previous week VWAP. All right, so that for me is a key level. You can see here also we've got a little distribution there, a volume distribution. Breaking above that, there's very little in the way of volume there, all the way to the next weekly level. So, and I'm talking about this area here. So, it's going to be very quick to go all the way up to the next weekly level, in my personal opinion. That next weekly level also has confluence with the value area high of the developing month VWAP, okay, which is basically this area here. All right, so again, this for me is resistance until proven otherwise. If we can break above 32,000 convincingly, or the monthly VWAP if you like, then I think we've got a very good chance to move up, and I think that was a temporary bottom, and then we have to wait and see what the Nasdaq does and what the S&P do. Okay, so I think that is pretty much it in terms of Bitcoin. Levels to the downside, of course, we've got, let me just make this chart bigger here. Levels to the downside, of course, I've given you some levels to the upside, okay, so including that yearly VWAP there at around about 40k, 39k or whatever. But levels to the downside, you can argue that this low volume node, which is exactly where we've bounced here, in fact, let me just put a little arrow there. So I'm looking at this I'm looking at this low volume node here, okay, you can see that there clearly. Low volume node there, right? And I've put a little arrow, and that's exactly where we bounced, right? So low volume area there. There's another low volume area way down here, round about the $20,000 mark. All right, so it could potentially, if we do go to the downside, it could potentially bounce here at 25k and then at 21k as well. But either way, I'm looking at the previous value area high of 2020. Okay, so this is the 2020 VWAP close. Okay, so this is basically here the value area high, this is the VWAP, and this is the value area low. And you can see that we got a high volume cluster round about there, right, starting all the way from 15,000 or whatever, right, which is basically all of this consolidation here, okay, which is not really a consolidation. I mean, this was like, pumps and dumps and all sorts of price action if you look at it carefully and kind of magnified, right? So you can see that basically this is a high volume cluster, and it's likely to cause a little bit of a bounce if we do come all the way back there. Okay, if I was to put the logarithmic chart on, you can see that the previous all-time highs here for 2017, December 2017, is also a weekly level, and it has confluence around about 19,375. So let's say 20,000 just to be on the safe side. Okay, so for me, this is like, you know, it's all about confluence, and I'm looking at these levels now as targets, right? If we go to the downside. So again, 25 and 20 as levels, potential levels for a bounce, or at least for a bit of sideways price action. However, that's if we go down. Okay, if we go up and we manage to break above 31,800, then we're likely to go up, test this previous level of support here, and perhaps even the developing years VWAP. All right, so that's Bitcoin. Let's have a look at Exocharts. And we'll start here with the, should we start with the volume profile? Sorry, let's start with the market profile. Nothing's changed on the monthly. As you can see, these are 4 months worth of profile. Here I've kind of merged them together and came up with this grey box that you guys can see. The grey box, or the green box if you like, is basically a value area. The value area low was way up here at 37,700. This is going to cause significant resistance even if we do get all the way up there. But we basically we just broke out of balance of like the whole year we've been inside this balance area, like bouncing up and down, right? And we broke out of that, and now the market is seeking balance elsewhere. So does that mean that we now go all the way back up to 37,000? Well, you know, difficult to say, but I doubt it very much, you know, to be perfectly honest. Okay, especially with the current climate on the traditional markets. If I look back here, let's have a look at the this is the daily. In fact, no, let's start. I'm going to start with the monthly. I believe it's probably best. We start with the monthly volume profile. This is the volume profile for a month. Okay, we kind of broke out of this balance area like I showed you the last 4 months. We've got a naked point of control round about here, around about 19,000. Again, more confluence to have a 20,000, 19,000, something like that. Okay, but we've also got a naked point of control round about $48,000. That's, you know, that's all I can see here. There's nothing really much else to be said there other than that. Okay, so we've got areas of low liquidity in between, but that naked point of control is calling at around about 19,000. If we look at the weekly volume profile, similar story. We came all the way down here. We didn't take out this naked point of control at 22,700. Okay, and we've got plenty of liquidity down here, namely at 18,000, 16,000, and so on. But you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, in terms of naked points of control here on the weekly volume profile, we've got one at 43,500, or 484 if you like. We've got another one way up here at 56,000 or $57,000. All right, so on the weekly, again, everything is sparsed out, very, very much spaced out, and you can see that this consolidation that we had way back in May, June 2021, that's basically where we've fallen out from. And yeah, until we reclaim these levels here, basically around about 32,000, you can see that there's a low volume node there. If we can reclaim that, then I think we've got a better chance to go all the way up here, basically, just to get back inside of this balance area. But you can see here the price is still inside of this low volume node. We've not got acceptance above, which is basically this high volume cluster here. All right, so again, just, you know, just trying to show you everything one day at a time. And again, it's a little bit more granular here and a little bit better view. You can see that 31,000 is basically the line in the sand. 31,000 here is the last low volume node before the high volume cluster. Okay, so we have to get past that basically. In terms of naked points of control, we've got one, we've left one behind at around about 27,500. We've left a couple back here around about 25,000, 24,500 as well. And we got all the way down to 20,000 where we've got naked points of control. On the other hand, if we do break above 31,000, we've got plenty of naked points of control above here, with the first one being at 34,300, 35,900, and 36,963. So let's say 37,000. Okay, these have sort of like line up. Apart from this low volume node lines up perfectly with this naked point of control. So if we are to reclaim 31,000, I think we've got a very good chance to going all the way up to 37,000. Okay, above here I'm not entirely sure, because again we've got high volume cluster there and low volume nodes, and these edges cause resistance. So moving on to the daily market profile. This is a time-based one. You can see that we've left a naked point of control here at 28,500. Okay, we got very close to taking it. We did not take it. Okay, even if I change the tick size, it does look like it did take it there, or it just missed it by a smidgen actually. So we've got a naked point of control here regardless at around about 28,500. This could have been front run already, so I'd be cautious with that one. And more importantly, we left a nice excess at the bottom, so there's no poor lows there, although there is a poor low. Where is it? Yeah, there's a poor low here around about 28,500, which is perfect confluence with that naked point of control. Okay, so you know, nice bit of excess here, poor low there, right next to this 28,500 level. Okay, this is a level that is likely to get revisited in the next sort of couple of days, and if it doesn't get revisited in the next couple of days, you could forget about it. Okay, either way, to the upside, there's no poor highs that I can see here. There's plenty of excess there, but we do have some single prints here between 30,400 and 30,900, 31,000. Okay, if we can break above these poor highs, again, that's that $31,000 level, which is key. And if we can break above that, then potentially we could see some more upside. Okay, I do have a anchored view up. I've anchored here from the swing high. Okay, that goes all the way back to May the 4th. And this one is lining up at around about 31,775, which, if you remember, has perfect confluence with that weekly level, 31,788. Okay, so again, this is all kind of lining up nicely and beautifully. So this here is basically a contention point, even if we break above all of these single prints. Okay, that 31,800, 31,700 more or less is basically what I'm looking for the ultimate level of resistance. If we break above that, then of course we've got a naked point of control at 33,500, another one at 34,500, and then 35,862. And 35,800 is an important level. Okay, we've got some more single prints all the way back here. At these basically start at 37,300, and this is going to be really strong resistance even if we do find ourselves going up. Okay, so 37,000, it's not really visible here, but if I was to sort of mute all this, okay, and if I put just a line here across there, which is basically support, 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 and support again before we broke it, that's basically 37,700. Okay, or let's be a little bit more generous, 37,500, as you can see there. Okay, so this is going to cause resistance until proven otherwise. This is previous support turns to resistance. So this is going to be a tough nut to crack. There's a big order block here, a big daily order block at around about 37,600. So this again is an important level round about there. Okay, let me just delete all these brush marks. Okay, I'm just going to put a little trend line there. I'm going to put that as red so that you guys know where we are with that. Okay, so 37,500 is basically also resistance, even if we do manage to get above this weekly level, okay, the 36,001. So as you can see, we're kind of like at the moment with Bitcoin, we're kind of struggling to get above the developing daily and weekly VWAP, okay, which is the previous, it lines up perfectly with the previous week VWAP. Above that, we've got the weekly level and a monthly VWAP at 32,400. That's basically it. We're very close to resistance. The S&P is also, and the Nasdaq is also very close to resistance here. So, you know, I'll let you guys decide, but my bets are basically on stalking shorts, okay? And I'm quite happy to be wrong. Like I said, if we break above this level here with conviction and hold it as support, then I'm quite happy to shift my bias to bullish, and I'll still catch the great majority of the move, as you can see here on the daily. Let me just put the whole chart here. Right, so this is basically where we are here. This is the level, is this level here. All right, on the top left hand corner there. And I'd still catch, this is the distribution, I'd still catch all of this move to go on to the next weekly level and perhaps that 37,500 level resistance. Potentially, this is a long all day long, a very obvious long, because that means that we're re-entering a new balance area. And re-entering a new balance area, what it means is that usually we go and tend to visit both sides of it. Okay, so there's a strong possibility that we go all the way back up to $45,000, even with all that resistance. It won't take a week, it won't take a day, it'll probably take months, or it could take less, but you know, that's usually the dynamics of the market. If you can reclaim that level, then it's very likely that we go and revisit both sides of this balance area. But we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, there's plenty of resistance above us, so we'll have to wait and see. I hope that is clear on Bitcoin. Let me just read the comments here on the chat. Hey, Dave from Sniper from Brisbane. How you doing, Dave? Good to see you in here. Shaz, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Massimo. Yeah, man, nice to see some old faces here. Glad you're all here. So let's move on quickly to Ethereum because I don't want this to take forever. So, right, so on Ethereum, I'll start here with the higher time frames, okay? This is the 3-day chart, basically, because the daily chart is looking a little bit fragmented, and it's looking a little bit sort of, just you can't see the high volume candles or anything. I could put it on the daily chart if you like. But basically, I've put some rectangles here, and I'm going to highlight what these are again, just because I can see there's some new faces. Basically, these rectangles are where there's been consolidation, so where a range has formed before, or area of high volume. Okay, so these high volume clusters tend to act as ranges, right? So we've got 2, 3, 4 distributions there, and they're highlighted basically by these rectangles. Okay, so we've tried to get acceptance inside of this one here, the lower one, the purple one if you like, and we got rejected from there very, very quickly. Okay, so at the moment we remain in an imbalance, right? So we're somewhere in between the purple and the green, right? So if Ethereum can get acceptance inside or above 2080, let's say 2085, right? If you can basically do this and get acceptance there and confirm that this imbalance is now support, then I think we've got a very good chance to go all the way up to $2,800. Okay, this is a large liquid move. It moved very quickly through there. What that usually means is that these get retraced, so that would add to my confluence. But are we definitely going to go up there? Well, I don't know. First of all, we have to see if we could find acceptance above that 2065, 2080, or whatever, right? So basically staying above $2,000. If we can stay above that and continue to get rejected from this lower distribution, then fantastic. That means that we're going to go up, and eventually we will get all the way back up to $2,800. Of course, with everything that is not Bitcoin, it largely depends on Bitcoin. That's basically it, right? So Ethereum can be looking very strong, and indeed it is looking stronger than Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin decides to dump, it'll drag everything down with it, as you can see here, right? It's just, there's, you know, this technical analysis that I'm doing for alts and for Ethereum included, it largely depends on Bitcoin, and you have to keep an eye on that. And as you know, Bitcoin is highly correlated with the S&P and the Nasdaq, so we have to keep an eye on the fucking traditional finance as well. This is what we get for wishing to have institutional investment. So anyway, moving on. Basically, the bullish case scenario is we need to find acceptance above $2,075, $2,080. Okay, find acceptance up here, and meaning that we don't get rejected there. In fact, we find support there, means that we're almost certainly going to go up. However, if the market gets rejected up there yet again, right, and we cannot get above this low volume node here, and somehow find ourselves below here, testing this area, this low volume node, as resistance, and cannot get above it, then that's an easy trade, and it's a short trade all the way down to 1500. Okay, that's basically it. And you know, that means that we're entering this realm here, and we'll range inside of here until we break to either side. Okay, there's a low volume node below us there at around about 1400 and 1500. Okay, so that will cause support like it did here. All right, so we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, the only thing it can disrupt this journey all the way back down, if we get acceptance below, right, below $2,000, like I said, we're likely to go to the other side of the balance. The only thing it can disrupt that is this here, which is the high volume node, right, which is the point of control, if you like, and that's sitting at around about $1,800. All right, so if you're in a short, make sure you take profit at $1,800, which is around about halfway to 1500. Okay, so that's basically what I'm seeing on Ethereum. Let me see if I highlighted any support resistance levels. I've got just the resistance levels above. I've got no support levels yet. There was a weekly order block. We're inside the weekly order block still. Oh yeah, I've put another rectangle down there, but that's really neither here or there. In terms of the VWAPs, let's have a look. I'll take the balance off. We tested the value area low of the 2021 VWAP, okay, and we bounced there. We're still in an area of low volume, this low volume node there, okay, and you can argue that this is in fact a big volume distribution, and it just has two distributions inside. Okay, that's, you know, that's perfectly valid. Okay, but the fact of the matter is that this low volume node is now acting as resistance. Break above that, and I think we've got a very good chance to coming all the way up here to 2,500, 2,700, and maybe even the next low volume node, which is again, surprise, surprise, $2,800, which is also the current year's VWAP. Okay, so you can see how all this lines up with the balance areas. There we are. That's the top of the other balance area if we get acceptance here. Okay, so that's the kind of the long and the short of it, basically. All right, so again, find acceptance above here means that we go to here. Get rejected there and find resistance, that means we go to there. Okay, and it's quite simple, really, and I'm just using volume as a measure, if you like. Let's have a look just at the VWAPs and 4-hour chart. Let me a second. Let me just make this a little bit better. Trying to find confluence here, guys. Okay, so here on the bottom right, I've got the developing VWAP value area low, and we're kind of struggling to get back inside it. Okay, so that's this level here. As you can see that there's developing area low there, right? And we're trying to get back inside of that. If we can get inside of that, then we've got a low volume node here, which is important. Okay, and we've got the monthly VWAP all the way up here at round about 2,350. Note how when I drew that circle, I'm going to draw it again, and if you look over to your left hand side, to the bottom left, you can see that there's perfect confluence there, all right, with the value area high of the previous week's VWAP. Okay, so that's just to the upside. Looking at the value area high of the monthly VWAP has perfect confluence with the previous, not the previous, but the week before that value area low there as well. Okay, but more importantly, these VWAPs are very good for confluence when the price is kind of like rotating in between them. But more importantly for me right now is these low volume areas. Okay, so this low volume area here, all right, as you can see here, I've already highlighted it there, so I'm going to delete all those scribbles now. But those low volume nodes will act as resistance until proven otherwise. Okay, so for Ethereum really is breaking above 2,177. Okay, if we break above that and we can sort of like hold that as support here, right, and we can maybe even actually 2,300 here, but basically get past this low volume area here, this would be a very good start, right? And then basically getting back above the previous week value area high, okay, or the monthly VWAP, which line up perfectly. This is strong resistance until proven otherwise. If we could break above 2,400, I think we've got a very good chance to go all the way to 2,800, okay, and basically get rid of this low volume node that is pestering us right now. Okay, it's basically exactly the same thing that I've just told you here on the daily time frame. Okay, so basically this low volume node is where we're struggling right now. All right, break above that, and like I said, that means that we've found acceptance inside of this high volume cluster here, green, right, and then that means we go up, and of course without, you know, there's going to be plenty of resistance here and here, but eventually we will get to $2,800. That's my personal opinion. All right, so in terms of Ethereum USD, that is pretty much it. Let's have a look at Exocharts and see if I can find any confluence here with the volume profile. This is the volume profile here. Okay, so this is the daily volume profile. You can see that we've come very, very close to this naked point of control at 1620 on that dump, right? But we didn't take those levels yet. Okay, so importantly, we've left a naked point of control here at 1893, so let's say $1,900. Okay, but we've also got naked points of control above us at 2,350, 2,540, and 2,680. Okay, and then again, what we've got here is basically another imbalance, as you can see here on that distribution, which is basically this low volume area here. Okay, this is going to cause significant resistance. Okay, so even if the price manages to, if Ethereum manages to go all the way up here, it's going to find resistance at around about this level, 2,650, and potentially even 2,800, which is this low volume node here. Okay, 2,700, 2,800, right about there, which, you know, it's basically where we were rotating here before as support. So again, the same scenario as Bitcoin. This is support when the price rallies up to it, right? So let's say that this was support here, right? Support, 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 right? When the price rallies up to it, what's gonna find is that support is now turned to resistance. Okay, it hasn't tested yet, so basically this is a high probability trade, in my personal opinion, because the support was largely untested as resistance, and at first tap, second tap, it's always going to be resistance. Okay, so it depends. If we do get all the way up there, what kind of reaction do we get? Do we get like a really strong rejection all the way down like that, right? Or do we just kind of hover at resistance? Hovering at resistance is a good sign, and that means that it's bullish, and eventually all of this liquidity will be consumed and we just rally up. But we'll have to wait and see. Nothing is guaranteed. First of all, we need to get above these low volume areas, just to start with. Moving on to Ethereum market profile. Let's have a look and make this a little bit smaller. I haven't done one of these for quite some time, just because we've been focusing on Bitcoin. Not a good sign I can see already here. Let me just change here on the TPO settings. If I could put the tails and the single prints on, just to make it easier. Okay, so we've left some excess below, but there's a poor low here around about 1945. Okay, so if I believe that there's also a naked point of control, a naked volume point of control around about this area. So let me just move that volume profile and just bear with me a second. There we are. It's in blue. Okay, so if we are going to take this poor low, then it's very likely that we come and take this volume naked point of control, okay, which is basically the one I showed you at 1900 on the volume profile. Targets to the upside 2344, 2400, let's say 2350, something like that. Okay, and that's basically if we can get above there. Okay, if we can get above that 2100, 2200 level. All right, and we've got plenty of naked points of control above us, volume and time based. All right, and we've left a few poor highs there as well. Okay, so if this gets bullish, then I think these are definitely the next targets. Okay, and again, it goes all the way up to $2,680, $2,700. That's potentially the ultimate target if you are in a long position, if we do break above that level that I was showing you on this chart. Okay, so basically at 2080, 2100, something like that. All right, so 2700 lines up perfectly with the previous year's VWAP, as you can see here. The VWAP close, that's basically around about here, and it's very close to this high. So don't get obsessed that it has to go all the way up there. It could actually go all the way up to here and then just turn around and go back down. All right, so this is close enough for you to take profits and to get out of your trade if you are in a long position. So don't get upset or obsessed with exact levels. All right, so that's Ethereum USD. I hope everybody is clear on that. Let me know if there's anything else that I need to cover, or if you guys got any questions. Please ask and I will answer those questions and go back to this. I'll cover Ethereum BTC now. So Ethereum BTC, let me just take these support resistance levels off. Okay, and I'm just going to leave the VWAPs in this trend line. All right, so you can see that we are now being supported by the current developing value area low. Okay, so the current year's developing value area low. You can see that this is that scribble there. The value area low is the -1 standard deviation of the current year's VWAP, which is here. Right, so the current year's VWAP has perfect confluence with the 2021 value area high, as you can see that there, right, line there. Okay, so right now we're being held here as support, right, and we've got this level here to contend as resistance, which also has confluence with this trend line that we've had since June 2021. Okay, so is this going to be a deviation like we had here, that we kind of broke out of the trend line and then broke back inside it, or is this going to be strong resistance and we fail there and we go back down? Well, that remains to be seen. I haven't got a crystal ball, so I can't tell you exactly what happens there, but what I can tell you is that this is definitely going to be strong resistance. For now, this level here is holding it as support. You can see that there's a little divot there in terms of volume, but more importantly, there's a very big low volume node there, or a very small low volume node if you like, depends on how you look at it, at around about 64,000 sats. Okay, you can see that the market has bounced there a few times already, like 1, 2, 3 times inside of this low volume cluster. Okay, low volume node, whatever you want to call it. So 64,000 sats is an important level of support. But right now it does look like we're being supported here around about 67,000 sats. All right, break above, we're going to find resistance. If we break to the upside, we're going to find resistance at around about 70,000 sats, 71,000 sats. And if we break above that, then it's a sigh of relief for Ethereum, as we would then be above the current year's VWAP, potentially above the previous year's value area high, and that means that this here will be the next level of resistance and potentially take out these highs and go to new heights there. Okay, you can see that this is also a volume distribution, so this level here is going to be strong resistance, and this is why the market has been kind of like trying there but failing to get above that. All right, so let's move on with the resistance and the support levels, and you can see that a little bit more detail. Again, these are just based on volume. I'll leave it there for a second so that you guys can pause this, and but maybe if you want you can take note of these levels. Okay, that's the targets to the upside. All these red lines are basically potential resistance on the way up, potential support on the way down. I guess the value area low is also a level of support, so let me just highlight that. Okay, so let's put that there as support. And you can see that this green line here, which I put here ages ago as a where the low volume node is acted as support yet again. All right, it is getting battered. I mean, it's been tested 3 times now, so if we find ourselves down there again, then there is nothing, it's not a high probability trade anymore. Okay, we could potentially break straight through that support and then start rotating inside of this volume distribution here, so rotating like this inside of there. All right, we'll just have to wait and see, but either way, as you can see, this is still printing. We're printing lower highs, but we're still printing kind of we printed an equal low there, but we've not really broken market structure. Okay, so this is higher lows all the way, and these lows here, I mean, you could argue that these two are lower than that one, but either way, it's not really broken market structure as such to the downside. Okay, we've printed some higher lows. That's the beginning. Okay, so you could argue that this is a high, this is a lower high, and yet again another lower high here, and we failed to get above this one. All right, so we'll see. We're kind of just rotating sideways now. I think, like I said, we're inside of this high volume cluster here, so wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of like rotational behavior here, going sideways like that. But it is important that we reclaim this level here, all right, at 70,000 sats. If we can reclaim that, then I think we've got a very good chance to coming all the way to the highs and potentially trying to find acceptance above here. Okay, meaning rotating here, and that's a break in market structure, because this is a high and now we've printed a higher high, right? So it was kind of a little bit subjective really, because this depends on the time frames that you're looking at, you know. So like trends are kind of subjective as well. We're looking at the 3-day here. I could look at this on the daily and it looks a little bit more sketchy, right? Either way, what is clear, and I just want to keep you guys in check here. Okay, I'm going to put it back on the 3-day so it's clearer, is that we've broken this trend line, right? We failed to get above it here, and right now we're on our way down. Okay, so this remains a key level. All right, so this is resistance until proven otherwise. All right, so we need to break above 70,000 sats. Even if we come all the way up here, doesn't mean that that's it, we're safe, right? This resistance, so this could literally just shit itself all the way from up there. All right, so just bear that in mind. Do not get sort of blinded by it. The trend line is not so important. I would use the VWAP, the yearly VWAP, or perhaps this level at 71,000 sats as a as definite confirmation. Okay, but at the moment we are approaching resistance, just like everything else is. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with Ethereum BTC. So I guess moving on, we could move on to the DeFi coins, altcoins. So I will start with FODL. FODL versus USDT. This is on OkEx. I'm going to put this on the daily chart. I forgot that on the 3-day chart still. Okay, so I highlighted these two orange lines here as a potential resistance if we do get all the way up there. But at the moment, FODL is just kind of, it's holding this support, but it's kind of like just waiting to see some market resolution. And I don't blame the investors in this, because actually we don't know if Bitcoin is going to go down or if it's going to go up. We are kind of an inflection point. So, you know, potentially what we could see for the rest of the week here is that this continues to just go sideways like this, right? And if it goes up, this is resistance. This is support until proven otherwise. If we break below, then we start looking at 7 cents and 6 cents as levels of support. That's on FODL versus USDT. Yep, FODL versus USDC. Let's have a look at this. Just gonna take these brush marks off. I don't know what happened here. But yeah, so FODL is falling versus USDC. So these levels are being taken out again and again. So I will, again, this is low, largely low liquidity moves, you know, inefficient moves. But I will put them as resistance anyway, okay? We are still at support. But again, I'm just going with sort of like, we're looking at these levels. The idea was to put them at big round numbers, okay? But, you know, at the moment, we're kind of at all-time lows here. So I'm just going to... I'm going to delete all of these levels, actually, to be perfectly honest. And I'm going to change something because I believe I've just made a little bit of a boo-boo. So let's go back to FODL versus USDC. Oh no, okay. It's okay. So yeah, I mean, this is at all-time lows, right? So this big candle here was for basically the initial pump of when FODL started, and we've got no previous price action to go from. So again, I would just stick to big round numbers as levels of support, but you can see that these are getting smashed again and again and again. So 80,000, 70,000, 60,000 and 50,000 way. Alright, so it's actually 5 cents, 6 cents, 7 and 8 cents. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see. In terms of resistance, for me the important one is where previous support was at. So this one here is an important level of resistance. Okay, it has perfect confluence with the value area low of the VWAP, and in my personal opinion, if this pumps, this is a largely inefficient move, and if this pumps, it'll be very quick to get all the way up to there. So this, for me, is the real level of resistance, okay? So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see if we can get all the way up there. In the meantime, we just continue to drip down lower, and we're looking at big round numbers because we are at all-time lows, all right? Break above this one, and I think we've got a very good chance to coming all the way up, at least to the yearly VWAP, and potentially all the way to 20 cents. I'm going to put that level there, okay? And that's basically the edge of this high volume cluster there, all right? But I would add another one here just because it's the yearly VWAP. And that's basically it. Red levels for resistance, green levels for support, okay? That's FODL versus USDC. Let's move on to FODL versus ETH. Can see you guys having a laugh in the chat room here on YouTube. It's good to see. Right, FODL versus ETH. Obviously, red level is an important level of resistance. These levels of support have been taken This one is no longer valid. This one here is potentially a level of support, but I'm going to put another one here. Okay, we bounced there, which is a good sign. However, you can see here that basically there's no price history. Okay, there's no price history, so there's basically just the volume is just like one straight line, right? So there's no point of trying to put levels of support there because it's anyone's guess, right? Big round numbers is where you usually go to. Depending on the market, of course. In fact, I'm going to adjust that. I'm going to put that here as the volume cluster. Okay, so I'm going to put this as a level of resistance. Okay, and this as the next level of resistance. Okay, this is an important one because again, it has confluence with a value area low. All right, so let's see if we can break above that. If not, then it's just going to continue down, and unfortunately, it's going to continue to. Well, fortunately as well, because that means we pick it up cheaper. But until we break that level of resistance here, it means it continues down, and we'll look at big round numbers in order to gauge where we could potentially see a bounce. Okay. But again, it's very difficult to do TA to these altcoins when everything else is dumping, Bitcoin and the traditional finance charts. And on top of that, there's no price history, previous price history for me to refer points to. So very quickly, let's move on to Binance Coin. That's BNB versus USD. So, okay. So like I explained in the last one on Friday, we are back inside of this range here. Okay, so this is previous resistance until proven otherwise. You can see it's the edge of a high volume cluster there. It's also where there's basically been support, 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 right? Hence why we formed this high volume cluster. So this here is resistance until proven otherwise. And this here is bounced as support. And so it's support until proven otherwise. So obviously this is the bigger range, right? I do have a little intermittent line, a line in the middle if you like. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to put that as orange. And I'm going to make that as a dashed line. Okay, because potentially we could be rotating on the upper ledge of this range or in the lower ledge of this range. Okay, so that's basically why I've got that intermittent line, the intermediate line, should I say. Okay, so this is basically the range between $289, say $290 and $360. Okay, potentially 330, which is the line in the middle, could also cause resistance. So we could just be rotating like this. If we break above this midline, then this is the next target and we'll be rotating up there. Okay, something like that, but basically a combination of both. Okay, that's why I've put two little arrows there for two ranges inside one big range. All right, I hope that makes sense. Binance versus BTC. Very interesting. Okay, so we're right now testing the developing year VWAP right here, and it's holding as resistance. Okay, if we could break above that, then we're likely to range between this level of resistance at around about 10,500 sats and the level of support, which is the halfway line of this rectangle. You can see here that basically what I've done is you've got two ranges, right? So here's a range above, here's the range below. Again, this is a high volume cluster and it's got a double distribution, so it's divided in the middle. So one little range there, one little range there. Exactly the same that I was trying to explain earlier, right, on the previous, on Binance versus USDT. Okay, so this is the bigger range, of course, but potentially, at the moment we're below it, so this is the range that we should be trading in. If we break above this yearly VWAP, then this here will be the range that we'll be trading in. Okay, so bear that in mind. So Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. 9,875 sats is basically the mid-range. Okay, that yearly VWAP is sitting at exactly at 10,000 sats. Sorry, so at 10,000 sats, break above that, we've got a very good chance to going to 10,500. If we cannot break above that, then I think we go all the way back down to 9,230 sats. Okay, so that's what I see on Binance versus BTC. Binance versus ETH. There we are. Like I said, this is a big range, right? This was support here. This is resistance here, like I did with this scribbles. This is the midline. Broke above the yearly VWAP, we target the value area high. And that's exactly where the price is at. So let me just delete those scribbles so that we can update that. Okay, so here we are at resistance. Okay, in fact, we broke above. I'm going to put that up there. Okay, we're basically just breaking above that. So the next level of resistance, in my opinion, be all the way up here. Okay, so you can see this is previous resistance, resistance, resistance there. Okay, so low volume node, and it's the edge of this high volume cluster. In fact, you could argue that the edge is a little bit higher. If I was to pull up the whole price history there, you can argue that this all the way up here is resistance. Okay, so if we break above this low volume node, you can see that there's a low volume node there, which is the current resistance that we're at right now. Okay, if we break above that, then this here is the next level of resistance. All right, break above that and we'll be rotating inside of this range here. All right, if we cannot break above it, then we're going to continue rotating inside of this range here. Okay, with potentially this midline, which is dotted here in orange, which is very close to the yearly VWAP, as being the midpoint. Okay, so again, we could have rotate inside of this range or rotate inside of this range, but overall, this is the bigger range here. Okay, does that make sense? If we break above it, then this is definitely resistance. This is tapering off. Okay, so I think price will accelerate. If we do go up, price will accelerate as we reach that level of resistance. Okay, and it's been tapped once, twice. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing right now. Of course, if we break below this level of support, so this could be a great entry for a short here, right? We are at resistance. Break above it is supported. We flip our bias to long, with this one being resistance and this being support. However, if this is indeed resistance and this is an entry for a short, then I'll be targeting this level here, the midpoint, and potentially this level here as support. Okay, break below this one and you can see that this is a previous range. So then we start trading inside of this range here. Okay, so three ranges basically. That's Binance versus ETH. Let's move on to AAVE versus BTC. Okay, so I've put this level here as resistance, these two levels as support. As you can see, this is basically a high volume cluster there. Right, so let me just delete all these scribbles now, just to make it a little bit clearer. Okay, so we've clearly failed there. We've clearly failed here at this resistance point. So that's basically telling us that we're going to find acceptance inside of this rectangle. So the next level of support is this one. And if you're in a short position, you want to take profits here. This is round about $53. Okay. If it breaks below $53, then the next level will be $16, which seems miles away right now. I do think that $50 is a big round number and it's likely to cause we're likely to have a bounce there, so don't get too greedy. Okay, overall this is of course a range, right? But when we broke above that one, we confirmed here as support, so this is definitely support until proven otherwise. Okay, so what I think that we do now, well, we kind of like rotate slowly all the way back to this level. All right, potentially find a bounce there and we just rotate sideways like this. All right, break below that one and we go and find this one here, and again find the bounce there, and we could be rotating inside of this one. All right, that's basically what I'm seeing on AAVE versus USD. AAVE versus BTC. Looking a little bit more bullish on AAVE versus BTC here, and that's probably just because BTC looks so crap. So let me just delete all these brush marks. Okay, so we've tested. This is interesting actually. Let me just I'm going to take all of these horizontal lines off. Okay. Is that right? I'm going to leave that one there. Right. The reason I leave this red line there, as you can see, this is the previous, so it's 2020 value area high there. Okay. This range here, in fact, I could kind of like reduce it to that. Okay, because this is basically, it's a weird distribution, right? You've got like two distributions inside one again, right? Two distributions like that. Okay, with a low volume node there right by the yearly VWAP. However, let's not complicate things too much. We've fallen out of this balance area of where we were rotating, and we tried to get back above it, and we couldn't. It's going all the way back down. So does that mean that we found acceptance below here, below this level here? If so, then we're doomed to go all the way back down to this level here. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see. The invalidation of that is us breaking above here and reclaiming this level, which is also the value area low of the current year's VWAP. All right, so I'm going to put a level of resistance here. And another level of resistance there. And of course, this one's already highlighted, but I'm going to put that there as well. All right, levels of support. It's not really, I mean, there's this level here, which is support, I guess. And potentially all the way down to 2020 VWAP. Okay, but there's not really much else here in terms of volume in order to give you some decent levels of support there at all. So basically that's what we want to see. If we break below this level here, this is confirmed that we are indeed bearish. We've lost this level, there's no chance of getting it back, and we're going first to look for liquidity down here. All right, if however we kind of bounce here, find ourselves going all the way up there, like I said, this is a time to close your shorts, enter a long position, and you'll be targeting first this level here and potentially this level here. Okay, that's on AAVE versus BTC. AAVE versus ETH. Levels of support being lost, particularly this one here. So I'm going to put that as resistance now. Adjust that slightly, but we are kind of approaching all-time lows again, right? And approaching all-time lows means that we just have to rely on big round numbers, like I said before. Okay, so you can see here that this is previous support, this was previous support. We flipped that, we couldn't get above this, so this is definitely resistance now, and so will be this. Okay, if for some reason we bounced here and we break through these levels of resistance, confirm those as support, then I think we've got a very good chance to break back inside of this high volume cluster here. Okay, so ultimately doing something like this, then this here will be the next level of resistance, significant one, this one here around about 500 way, and if we can break above that, then I think we've got a very good chance to start rotating here. At the moment the price is trending down, and there's not really much else that we can do about that. I think that's the same thing with a lot of these coins, right? So just have to bear that in mind. But this here is significant level of resistance, and this here is all-time lows. Okay, everything else in between we could be rotating in either one of those ranges. Okay, That's AAVE, so let's move on to compound. Compound versus USD. Again, this is at all-time lows. I'm just going with big round numbers here, as you can see, 50, 40, 30, 20, and so on. Okay, this level got lost. Again, I'm going to leave it as orange because it's not, you know, this could be just a little wick and then we move up. But either way, we're looking at $80 as resistance and also $100 as resistance. Okay, so this is going to be a significant one. As you can see, this is the value area low as well, the current ETH and this was previous support. We broke down from it with quite some speed, and we've not tested that as resistance. So even if the price comes all the way up here, this is a high probability trade because it hadn't been tapped yet. So this here is a short, okay, at $100. So that's resistance. And in terms of levels of support, like again, like I said, we just have to go with big round numbers because we are at all-time lows. Compound versus BTC. This is level of support. It's held. It's held for now. We couldn't even get all the way back up to this level of resistance here. So let me just delete these scribbles, just to make it a little bit more objective. Okay, so this here, significant level of resistance again because it hasn't been tapped. Previous support broke down. It hasn't even been tested. High probability trade. That's a short. Okay, this one's held up as support at around about 200 sats. So that's support until proven otherwise. So I think the price just kind of rotates inside of here for now, right? And it doesn't have to be like that. Of course, you can just go up here and hover like this, and then kind of like go all the way back down, and then kind of go up here and then come all the way back down, and so on. But I'm just trying to give you a range, a higher time frame range. Okay, so this is resistance and this is support. That's on compound versus BTC. Compound versus ETH. Very much the same scenario. Okay, I'd highlighted already this level here as resistance. Okay, previous support turned to resistance. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see if we can break above this one. This here is the significant level of resistance. As you can see, it hasn't even been. It kind of got tested there, to be fair. Blue candle there, a big high volume candle, but then it got rejected. Either way, this is an important level of resistance. Okay, breaking above that means that we're inside a big high volume cluster there, and we'll at least rotate inside of here, but potentially go all the way up to this level here. All right, if this level holds as support, as resistance, then we've got a level of support here and another level of support down here. And again, big round numbers, 300, 250. BAT versus USD. Right, let's just delete this shit. Right. So this is an important level of support. As you can see, this is the 2021 VWAP value area low. Okay, so this is an important level of support. Let's see if it holds. If it doesn't hold, then this is the next level of support. As you can see, this is previous VWAP. So is it the previous VWAP? Let me just delete that a second. Yeah, it is, and it's also a high volume cluster. So I do think that if we break below this level here, just delete the scribbles again. I'm going to put a little range here. Three ranges. Okay, so this is support at the moment and this is resistance. Okay, we could be trading sideways like this, break below it, then we go on to the next range, the lower range, break above it, and then we go on to the upper range. Okay, this is going to be significant resistance as well. As you can see, it was previous support for quite some time and it's largely untested. So again, this here is a high probability trade for a short. Moving on to BAT versus BTC. I don't need to delete that. Okay, important level of support here. Yeah, important level of support. I think we range inside of that, just like I've done here. Okay, this is support, support. It's largely untested. Okay, so this is the real resistance here, and this here, significant level of support. Break below that, and I think we're going to test the 2021 value area low, way down here. Okay, at the moment is at what is it? 1300 sats, 1300 sats. Okay, so we need to break above 1400 sats and then 1500 sats in order to start rotating to the upside. Okay, to around about 1750. If not, then we're going to go all below, or at least around about 1000 sats. BAT versus ETH. Basically, we're doing exactly what I said that we would do. This is strong resistance, this is strong support, and so we just rotate sideways, just like that. Okay, break below it, then we go and see the next levels of support. If we break above it, then this here is the next level of resistance. And again, you can see why I chose it. It's the edge of a high volume cluster. All right, so this is a range. This is a range. This is a range here as well. And if we break below it, then we're going to have to start looking at these big round numbers, 1600, 1500, 1400, and so on. Link versus USD. Very much the same thing. Okay, this is a range here. As you can see, we're kind of rotating there. Okay, we failed to get above this previous level here. So we're about to go and test this level here as support. Okay, if we bounce here, then this is the next level of resistance. If we break above it, then this will be the next one. If we break below it, this will be the next one. All right. So at the moment is at $7.50. $7 is support, and I believe $8.80, $9 is resistance. Link versus BTC. This is interesting how I've done this. Okay, so this is a range, this is a range, this is yet another range. We've come and tested the highs here. It's confirmed that there's indeed resistance. So we're on our way to go and test 1960. 1960 sats. Okay, if we fail that one, then I think this one here is going to be a very important level. Okay, this is just an intermediate level. All right, this is the important one. So you can see I've put here this, because that means there's a high volume cluster there. All right, so at the moment we just kind of rotate here until proven otherwise. Okay, Link versus ETH. Interesting. So a little bit of weakness on ETH means that Link is kind of caught up with that. And now this level here, I'm going to put it as orange because it's not clear if we're bouncing there or not. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see. In fact, let me just delete that, and I'm going to put this as 3 ranges. All right, so 2 ranges there. If we break below that, then these levels are next. If we break above this, then these levels are next. Okay, but as you can see, the reason why we've got a big sort of blue rectangle there is that this is inside a big volume cluster. Okay, big high volume cluster there. All right, so ideally what we want to see for the Link Marines is that this continues to overperform and to outperform Ethereum, and we go all the way to the top here. This is going to be, again, previous support turns to resistance, so this is a high probability trade, but ideally what we want to see, we want to come all the way back up here. But we've entered a big balance area. So where is it likely to go? First of all, it's likely to go all the way to the bottom there. So I wouldn't be holding my hopes. I think before my hopes up, I think before we see any further upside, this is definitely resistance here. We could come all the way up here and then continue dumping, right? So just bear that in mind, all right? I do think that we've got a strong chance to coming all the way down here since we've entered this big high volume cluster. Moving on to Uni versus USD. Alright, so this is the real resistance. Let me just delete the scribbles. I've explained this time and time again, but I'll do it again. Right? This is resistance. This is support. This is the intermediate line. So if you're in a long, you want to take profits there. If you're in a short, you want to take profits there. Okay? So this could potentially be two ranges. One range here, one range there. But overall, it's one big fucking range. Okay, so let's just wait and see if this holds its support. If it doesn't hold its support, then I think we're going to have to start looking at $3 and $2 and $1.50 and $1 as levels of support. Uni versus BTC. Uniswap's holding pretty well, I must admit. Okay, so again, this is a level of support until proven otherwise. Let's see if we can hold that and go inside of this range. Okay, this range is divided in two, as you can see, previous resistance there, right? So again, that's why you've got the two little scribbles in between these two, right? So one volume cluster, another volume cluster, all right? Break below this level here, and of course, this will be the next level of support, all right? And then we'll range inside of this one. Should be like one big range like that, okay? Break above this as resistance, and we've got to find acceptance above inside of this one, okay, which then brings us to this level here, and this would be the next range. All right, I hope these scribbles make any sense to you guys. It makes sense in my head, so I hope it makes sense in your head. Again, very much the same thing. I can simplify this by putting a rectangle. So midpoint, this is support, this is resistance. Okay. If we can find acceptance above here, meaning if we don't dump, we go all the way down to here, right? Again, 200 way, which is basically a big round number. If, however, we find a little bit of support here, then this is the next level of resistance, but ultimately we'll be going all the way to here. Okay, this is just a middle line. All right, this is previous support. We lost it. We're not tested it as resistance yet. This is a high probability trade for a short. Okay, so I think that that covers everything in terms of the altcoins. I'm going to move back to Bitcoin just to do a little recap, just see if anything's happened. No, nothing's happened, other than the fact that we've just got rejected off the weekly view app or daily view app right about here. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see. All right, at the moment it's not looking too clever, is it? Like I said, and I want to recap this, I'm bullish above 32k. Up until we break 32k, I'm not bullish at all, and I'm looking for shorts. Okay, break 32k, I'll be looking at 35k for the next level of resistance, or 36,000, something like that. If we don't break above 32k, then I'm going to be looking at 28 for support, but eventually 20k as support. Okay, so that's it. That covers it for today. I'll have another technical analysis update for you guys on Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed. That's 1 hour and 23 minutes, so I do apologize for the length. I'll do the timestamps now. I hope this puts you on the right side of the trades. And in the meantime, protect your capital and yeah, trade smart. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye.